Hello and welcome back to another episode of Business Partner. Today we are diving into the 5 forms of business organization in the private sector. They are important for anyone studying business. Let's start with sole traders. This is the simplest form of business. A sole trader is just one person who owns and runs the business. An example of a sole trader could be your local hairdresser. They manage the business themselves and keep all the profits. Let's discuss advantages and disadvantages of sole traders. Advantages. Number 1. Full control of the business. The owner makes all the decisions. Number 2. Easy to set up. It does not require complicated paperwork. Disadvantages. Number 1. Unlimited liability. If the business loses money, the owner is personally responsible. Number 2. Limited funds. It can be hard for a sole trader to raise money for expansion. Next, we have partnerships. This is when 2 or more people run a business together. They share the profits and responsibilities. For example, a law firm like Smith & Johnson attorneys, where 2 or more lawyers share ownership and responsibilities. Let's discuss advantages and disadvantages of partnerships. Number 1. More capital. With more partners, there is usually more money to invest. Number 2. Shared responsibility. Work and decision making are shared, so there is less pressure on one person. Disadvantages. Number 1. Disagreement can happen. Partners may not always agree, leading to conflicts. Number 2. Unlimited liability. Like sole traders, partners are personally responsible for any debts. Now let's talk about private limited companies. These are businesses owned by a small group of people, often family or friends. A great example is a family-run restaurant, such as the Smith Family Dinner, that is owned by a small group of family members. Let's discuss advantages and disadvantages of private limited companies. Advantages. Number 1. Limited liability. If the company fails, owners only lose the money they invested, not their personal assets. Number 2. Easier to raise funds. They can sell shares to friends and families. Disadvantages. Number 1. Less control. Decisions may need to be discussed with all shareholders. Number 2. More regulations. They have to follow more rules and paperwork than sole traders or partnerships. Moving on to the public limited companies. These companies can sell shares to the public on the stock exchange. For example, the British grocery chain Tesco plc, which is publicly traded and can sell shares to the general public. Let's discuss advantages and disadvantages. Number 1. Access to a large amount of capital. They can raise money by selling shares to the public. Number 2. Enhanced credibility. Being a public company often makes it easier to gain trust from customers and investors. Disadvantages. Number 1. Less control. Shareholders can influence decisions which might conflict with the original owner's plans. Number 2. High costs. There are significant costs involved in becoming and staying a public company. Lastly, let's cover cooperatives. These are organizations owned by or run a group of people for their mutual benefit. The example is Carrefour, a grocery store chain that is owned and run by its members for their mutual benefits. Let's discuss advantages and disadvantages of cooperatives. Advantages. Number 1. Member control. Each member has a say in how the business is run. Number 2. Shared profits. Any profits are distributed among the members. Disadvantages. Number 1. Slower decision making. With many members involved, it can take longer to make decisions. Number 2. Limited capital. They may find it harder to raise funds compared to other business types.
So I think it's enough for today. So thank you very much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this video is useful for you. So take care of yourself and don't hesitate to write an email if you have any question, query, suggestion, and even classes are required. Take care of yourself meanwhile. See you in the next video. Goodbye.